The restriction of travel abroad, isolate from within, that's how you actually flatten the curve. It's exactly what the Trump administration is currently doing, and I'm sick and tired of the media trying to score political points. They are just destroying themselves, and it couldn't happen to a nicer group of people. But every time they open their mouths, there's not a single fact that is coming out of it. Kind of like this one. Let me give you this one. Here everybody is blaming the Trump administration for the lack of coronavirus tests. And they're comparing the number of people tested in places like China and South Korea and Europe and everything else. But did you ever see the context why this is happening? Let me give you this. Quote, reports suggest some people test negative up to 6 times, even though they are infected with the virus. Oh, okay. So we could have done this. We could have tested 330 million people if we wanted to, but what good would it be if we were using a faulty test from the WHO? If only 1 out of 6 of those tests were actually reliable, why would we do this? Let me take you here. Do you remember the Chinese doctor? He was the first whistleblower regarding coronavirus. He was one of the doctors that China arrested and forced to sign this letter saying, oh, everything's great. I was making it up. Well, he later died from the virus after being tested negative multiple times. Every single case came back negative on him. Now, that's one of 2 things. Either the tests don't work or they killed him. In his case, either are possible. The Trump administration is constantly getting criticized for not unleashing the American public. Really? Well, you're only feeling that way, or your friends are only feeling that way, because they don't believe the press anymore. The media refuses to report on what is actually true. They don't care. They just want you pissed off, scared, and they want Donald Trump to lose. That's it. Meanwhile, places like the EU were caught severely unprepared. Taiwan, 81 miles right off the coast of China. They only had a handful of coronavirus cases. How's that possible? Millions of people travel back and forth between Taiwan and China. How is that possible? How have they escaped this thing fairly unscathed? 81 miles off of China. They did everything we're doing right now on day 1. That's why. They initiated a travel ban from China. First day. They identified anyone that arrived within 14 days and said, you just have to stay in your house. Now, keep this in mind. That while all of this is being done, and China was saying there was no problem, Taiwan recognized that there was. China, there's no threat. No one called China racist or fearmongers. Nobody called Taiwan that. They learned their lesson from SARS and that outbreak, and they were ready to spring into action this time. The rest of us are reeling because we thought, China baby's changed. China's pretty good. Thank God Donald Trump didn't buy into any of that. And now they are using disinformation. You know the difference between misinformation and disinformation? Misinformation, we all know. Disinformation is done usually by a communist country. And what they do is they find a trusted source. Now, that's pretty hard to do. But they find a trusted source and they infiltrate, or they give fake information. And that trusted source, knowingly or unknowingly, transmits that false information. So the Chinese government knows this is fake. But they've planted this now because our press is so eager to make Donald Trump look bad and China the good guys. They've planted all of this information and they're lapping it up. And so now you have falsehoods that have come from the Chinese government and they have been lapped up by our own press. That's disinformation. This is a dream come true for any communist country. Our press just doesn't even see. Do you not know how history works? Have you never seen this before? CBS, ABC, NBC? Never? Really? CNN? Never. Meanwhile, as they're yelling at us, Taiwan has one of the lowest cases of the virus in the entire world, again, despite being the fact that they are in China's backyard. You can actually see China from their kitchen windows.